everybody. Welcome to GM Joel's weekly chess recap on ICC. I'm Grandmaster Joel Benjamin, and this week we will wrap up the Isle of Man tournament, and then we'll have a look at the Millionaire Open in Atlantic City. Okay, in the Isle of Man, Pavel Eljanov led pretty much wire to wire before our man Fabiano was able to catch up to him with a last round win. First, we'll take a look at Eljanov. He played excellent technical chess in this event, and he won a lot of long end games, building up advantages, maybe winning a pawn here and there. So his games weren't very flashy, but let's take a look at one that he played early in the tournament. And there's one particular move in this game that I really like, so I'll let you know when we get there. It was a French defense. And the opening is fairly typical. We get to a type of position out of the opening that is often seen in this variation of the French. I don't know if Queen A5 specifically is a common move, but we are going to reach an endgame very soon. Here, White throws up the H pawn, which is often done here. Okay, so we have this endgame, and White is looking to exploit his superior bishop. Obviously, Black has the light square pawn structure in the center and a light square bishop, and White has a space advantage. After H6, you might expect Black to play conservatively with G6. Of course, he has a lot of holes on the dark square. But Gagari here decides to throw up G5 and try to break down White's center. Well, Eljanov is not going to give up the pawn on E5 so easily, but he's ready for this H5. And before he deals with that directly, he throws up this move B4. I love this move. It's a very clever Zwischenzug. If Eljanov saw everything that was going to happen from here. For the moment, White threatens to play B5, winning the bishop. I don't know if there's any possibility that Black could try to sacrifice that bishop to get a bunch of pawns. I guess he could try to take on F4 and do that. But Gagari decides to defend his bishop and against the threat of B5, and he doesn't want to play A6 or B5 because he doesn't really want to put pawns on light squares, same as his bishop. So he plays B6, and that turns out to be very important in what happens next. Eljanov plays Rook H5, and after F6, takes. Rook takes F6. Knight takes will run into similar problems, but maybe that was a little bit better to try to hopefully get the H file. And now the rook comes to G7. And here's the point of the B4, B6. Now this pawn on A7 is hanging. Isn't that cool? B4 looked like it had nothing to do with what was happening on the king side. But now that pawn falls, and Black can try to defend it, but then he's going to run into other problems along the 7th rank. So he goes for the H pawn. And now Eljanov just executes some technique. Black has just a lot of weaknesses, and his bishop is also getting pushed around. Knight B5 was also strong. And just very brute force going for pawns. Now Rook C8 check is a possibility. Black is kind of desperate. H5 takes. H4 trying to queen. White has various ways to win. Eljanov's G5 is interesting because if Black takes a knight, White will play simply Rook C8 check trading, and then the bishop will stop the H pawn, and then White is going to queen one of his pawns. Now if H3, White can also play simply Rook C3 and then go and take the H pawn, and that threat stopped. Game is pretty much over.